The Steam controller is definitely the underdog when it comes to video game controllers. I mean, its only market is an audience where they would all prefer keyboard anyways, and since the Steam Machine has become a huge flop, nobody can use it with a console. So is there any use for it now? If you came here for me saying no, I wouldn't blame you. But this will be far from me just saying no. The Steam controller was made in a way like Steam itself is, community driven. The big selling point of it is that any game you have can be played with this, even if it isn't officially supported. This is due to special configurations that can be made before you launch a game. Now let me go on a rush list telling you what games that work very well with it and ones you shouldn't bother with. Compatibility will be ranked in a 5 out of 5 score. 5 is a game you can play with no other controller than this one and works great. 4 is a game that works better than any other could, but has flaws. 3 is a game you could easily play with any controller and have the same experience. 2 isn't as good as other controllers, but if you're desperate, it's playable. And a 1 is a game that you don't want to play with a controller, or at worst, can't. Please remember, these ratings have nothing to do with the quality of the games. They just have to do with how well the Steam controller works with them. Amazing Frog 3. Amazing Frog has been made in a way where it can be played on any controller easily. The Steam controller has too huge of a D-pad to work with pause phone, but it's not impossible to do it. I don't give this a 2 because you won't be using this feature all the time, so it isn't game breaking and it can easily be playable. Binding of Isaac Rebirth 2. There is no use of the famous touchpads here, unless you like swiping constantly to shoot tears, but you can still use the analog stick and buttons in a cramped fashion if you like that sort of thing. Blockland 4. This one has a lot of exceptions here. No other controller can play Blockland easily, but the configuration that I picked has issues. I used the most popular configuration, and I can say that you can't put down bricks, using the controller at least, or move them for a matter of fact. But if you play minigames on Blockland a lot, it's worth it plenty if you turn the sensitivity down and don't want to haggle with joypad software. Doom 2, the 90s version 1. It's a very fast mess. You can't use the analog stick, but you're more than welcome to swipe away, going way too fast and barely being able to go anywhere you want. Just do it on keyboard or play the new Doom if you want your Doom console fix. Enter the Gungeon 1. I don't know if I had to pick a better configuration for it, but Gungeon is worse controlling with this than Isaac. At least in Isaac I could shoot correctly using an alternative method. With Gungeon you can aim, but if you're moving, good luck aiming where you could before. It's near impossible. Roller Coaster Tycoon 5. It works flawlessly. I thought it needed configuration, but no, it works well on its own. Most games that only need a mouse cursor will work fine with a Steam controller. Garry's Mod 5. If you want to play Garry's Mod with a controller, this is the one you need. It works fantastic in menus and in gameplay. Most Valve games are supported well, so there's no surprise that this one works. Golf with Your Friends 5. This also works flawlessly, but make sure to use the configuration called No Frills by some guy named Walrus. The most popular ones don't have anything to swing with except the mouse, which is pointless when all you need is a mouse for the game. It ruins the point of using a controller. Steekboard 3. Basically the same case with Blockland, except you can't turn the sensitivity down without an external software. And you can work fine with another controller. I would give it a 2, but the controls can get used to if you play it for a while. Super Indie Carts 4. It basically works as it does on an Xbox One controller, since it doesn't use the touchpads. I give it a 4 simply due to the fact that the controller itself gives me more room from the drive button and the drift button. It feels nice. Terraria, or Terraria if you want to call it that, 2. Terraria is really a game that never works with controllers, and this doesn't work either. The default developer configuration doesn't want to work with building, and I can't be bothered to try the other ones. Well, after all that, is the Steam controller worth $41 I spent along with Rocket League? A game I didn't want to test with it because I didn't install it at the time. Well, maybe. Seeing as keyboards can be way more expensive if you bought a desktop and you have it by yourself, it can most likely replace a keyboard and mouse if you already have Steam installed on the computer. If you're using a laptop and have a keyboard but not a mouse, it can work too. But most mouses that aren't for gaming oriented can be cheaper and work fine, for me at least. My message to you is to think about what will be cheaper for you and make the right choice. Both can serve you well if you use the right games.